Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now that Dillian Whyte has been able to get the rematch with Alexander Povetkin won in the 4th round in explosive fashion, the eyes are set on the future for Dillian Whyte. What is going to be his next move? Will he get a world title opportunity? And obviously that's not going to come next, so who is he going to fight in between that? Now, interestingly enough, in the post-fight interview last night, Eddie Hearn spoke about taking him to America in summer to keep him active, but also for an interesting and probably a bigger fight. Now, whether that's someone like Deontay Wilder or Andy Ruiz Jr. is another thing entirely. I believe that Dillian Whyte would fight one of those two. It is just whether Deontay Wilder would want to risk Dillian Whyte, because Dillian Whyte is a real handful and he proved that last night. I mean, I know he wasn't looking the best technically last night, but perhaps looking the best technically wasn't what he needed. I think that his boxing performance was very good, but he was very rugged at times and that was what he needed. He did lose his shape at times, but again, that's what he needed to beat Povetkin, to not allow him off the hook, to not let Povetkin apply any kind of pressure. And that is what Dillian Whyte done. He constantly backed him up. He was the one trying to hold at centre ring. Whereas last time Povetkin was allowed too much room to move into and Dillian Whyte was boxing almost too much, at this time he was a lot more dominant with regards to those fundamentals. Now the eyes, as I said, are on the future. The rematch has been won, and I don't believe he's going to fight Povetkin again. I mean, he did speak about that after, maybe a trilogy, but Povetkin ain't going to want that. And I mean, Andrei Rubinsky said that he's going to try and encourage Alexander Povetkin to retire now, so this could be the end of the road for Povetkin. A great career, great boxer, and all of that. But Whyte's career will go on, and hopefully he gets to face someone like Ruiz or Deontay Wilder. Those are the two big names at the moment, because obviously AJ and Fury are going to be tied up with an undisputed fight. At least we are led to believe that. We don't know certainties at the moment, we just know that apparently a contract has been signed. Now they must sort out a date and a venue for this contest to take place. So there are still things that need to be wrapped up, but those two are out of the picture for Dillian Whyte at the moment. Unless of course it doesn't happen, then maybe he can get himself a Tyson Fury fight. Barring that, he needs to look at someone like Ruiz or Deontay Wilder. I mean, he did say that he's been taking these tough challenges back to back. Can I get an easier fight and make some good money? Dillian Whyte's not going to do that. He might take an opponent who's not as tough as say Ruiz or Deontay Wilder, but I don't believe that will be his decision. I believe they will get the best opponent that they can. Perhaps he does fight in America or somewhere else. I mean, they even spoke about going back to Gibraltar in the summer to do something there outside as well. So there are many places that Dillian Whyte can go, and he's a big draw. And you have to say, a pay-per-view at £20 is definitely worth it to watch a Dillian Whyte, especially with the undercard that they put together, because this undercard was a very, very strong, great value for money. So anytime you tune into a Dillian Whyte fight, you are guaranteed fireworks. And that was proven in the way he took apart Alexander Povetkin in this rematch. And of course everyone is now talking about Deontay Wilder. That seems to be the fight that everyone wants to make. Dillian Whyte versus Deontay Wilder. In my opinion, Ruiz is the more plausible option. Ruiz is the more likely, because Ruiz has a fight on May 1st against Chris Arreola, and Dillian Whyte has had a fight against Povetkin. Now, of course they're not in close proximity, but Andy Ruiz is not going to go into a fight with Dillian Whyte after a loss to AJ in 2019, then all of that inactivity. He's not going to do that, so he needs a comeback. So if he has the Arreola fight as a comeback, then perhaps fight Dillian Whyte, maybe in late summer, but that is still a big fight. Deontay Wilder does not even have a comeback planned. I mean, there was talk of him fighting Charles Martin, but that hasn't come off. Is he going to fight Dillian Whyte after a long layoff, but also coming off of a defeat to Tyson Fury? No, he's not. So that fight isn't even on the cards at the moment due to that fact. Ruiz seems more possible than Deontay Wilder. And talking about May 1st, what about Joseph Parker versus Derek Chisora? That is going to be a big fight, and a pay-per-view fight as well. There will be a lot of eyes on that fight and a lot of anticipation. Could maybe Dillian Whyte get the winner of that fight, which would be a rematch with Joseph Parker and a trilogy with Derek Chisora? That is a definite possibility, although he does want to go to America and different territories, so maybe they wouldn't take a third fight with Chisora to the US or somewhere else, but that is still a possibility. There are so many names in the heavyweight division that he could take. I mean, even Kubrat Pulev, I know he's just lost to Anthony Joshua, but still, that is a big name in the UK now because AJ fought him in his last fight. So there are many names out there for Dillian Whyte. I know that Pulev is not of the level of, say, Povetkin, of Ruiz, but again, Dillian Whyte does need to get a victory, then get a world title opportunity, because he's having some great fights and being in incredible contests, but he does need to save something for that world title opportunity when it finally comes, and then he can give his best and give his all to that opportunity instead of giving it to non-world title fights. There's nothing wrong with that, I love it, but what he does need to do is ensure when he gets that chance, he is fully prepared and he's 100% going in. Because these tough fights do put miles on the clock, and I want to see Dillian Whyte at his best when he gets that opportunity, because that has been long in the waiting. Hopefully Dillian Whyte does get a world title opportunity next year. We said that last year, but hopefully this time it actually happens. One fight that could be interesting that Dillian Whyte did speak about is the Trevor Bryan fight, and he is obviously WBA regular champion, and that is the title that David Haye won. Having said that, David Haye won the title before I believe there was a Super Championship, so that was widely regarded as the WBA Championship. But regardless of that, that is still definitely an opportunity for Dillian Whyte to gain a World Championship belt, and it's going to be his only opportunity this year. I know that Trevor Bryan is not a world beater. He's not a bad fighter, but he's not a brilliant fighter either. Still, Dillian Whyte does need that opportunity, and now that he has rematched Povetkin, regained his status as WBC Diamond Champion now I believe, although he is interim status as well, but there was a Diamond belt that he was going to be guaranteed had he won the fight, because he was quite displeased with the belt that he actually ended up getting, and he wants his Diamond belt. So, I mean, he could have that belt and have the WBA regular championship as well, and the Trevor Bryan fight could be the one where he wins at that championship, because I think he takes Trevor Bryan apart in 3-4 rounds, just like Povetkin, maybe even quicker. Dillian Whyte is classes above Trevor Bryan, but still, that is a big fight to be made. In America as well, could be made in the summer. And I mean, Dillian Whyte and Eddie Hearn did talk about him fighting twice still this year, so that will be 3 fights in 2021. I believe that's good for Dillian Whyte to stay active. I don't know why many fighters now only fight like once or twice a year. I don't see why they do that. They can fight more often than that, and Dillian Whyte is a prime example. So he will remain active for this year, so why not Trevor Bryan next, then the big fight like Deontay Wilder or Ruiz? I don't believe it's going to be Deontay Wilder, unless Wilder has a comeback and regathers some self-esteem and believes that he can actually beat Dillian Whyte, because he's not taking that fight just yet, and he seems to be making a lot of excuses in the past about the Tyson Fury fight because he cannot accept that the better man won. So there are some issues there for Deontay Wilder to sort out before he gets in there with someone like a Dillian Whyte, because again, otherwise, excuses will come if Whyte beats him. I believe that Trevor Bryan next is a good fight for Dillian Whyte. I know that it's not Andy Ruiz, it's not Deontay Wilder, it's not of that level, but I believe that Dillian Whyte deserves that kind of opportunity to become a world champion, even though it is for the regular championship. Guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below. Also leave a like and grab that subscribe button. Thanks guys.